Good morning, students. All of you see page number 44. I am reading Stalinism and collectivization. So, all of you see and try to understand the period of the early planned economy was linked to disaster of the collectivization of agriculture. Early periods, earlier time, planned economies earlier time. How was it was linked? It was very close to the disasters of the collectivization of agriculture. It means we can say the collectivization, because of the collectivization of agriculture means what? We will read after this we can say the after this paragraph. In the middle of this paragraph we can understand what is the meaning of collectivization. So disaster which occurred in Russia, because and how this occurred, because of the collectivization of agriculture. The period of the early planned economy was linked, means this was the related to the disaster, destructions, the result of the negative result, we can say disaster of the collectivization means negative results of the collectivization of agriculture. By 1927, 1928, by 1927 to 1928, the towns in Soviet Russia were facing an acute problem of grain supplies during the 1927 and 28 in Soviet Russia. Were facing an acute means here very serious, means they were facing very serious problem of grain supplies. The government fixed prices. Government, Soviet Russian government fixed prices at which grain must be sold. Means for selling, government already fixed prices for controlling whatever the situation occurred. But the peasants refused to sell their grain to government buyers at these prices. Government fixed selling prices, but peasants refused to sell their grain to the government buyers at fixed prices. Stalin, who was Stalin, communist philosopher, we can say, leader. Stalin, who headed the party after the death of Lenin. Now, who was Stalin? Head of the Communist Party after the death of Lenin. Now, Stalin introduced firm emergency measures. Now, he started some methods. He believed that rich peasants and traders in the countryside. Now, he introduced so many firm measures. And as well as he believed that rich farmers and traders, those who were living in villages, now they were holding stocks in the hope of higher prices, means stock collection. Why? Because in the hope of higher prices. So rich peasants and traders, they were collecting grains in form of stocks. Speculation means assumption, we can say sattebaji, assumption. Speculation had to be stopped and supplies confiscated. Confiscated means controlled. Now, Stalin, he introduced, as well as he said, speculation should be stopped, as well as supplies should be controlled by the government. In 1928, party members, those were the party members, toured the grain producing areas. Now, party members, now they visited grain producing areas where the food grains were produced, such areas. Now they visited. Supervising enforced grain collections. Now they checked grain collections, as well as they checked and they collected. Forcefully they collected from the peasants, grain they collected. And raiding, as well as the attack, kulaks. Kulaks means prosperous peasants in Soviet Russian. So such a prosperous, rich peasants were called kulaks. The name for well-to-do peasants. Well-to-do peasant means prosperous peasants. As shortages continued, but the food grain shortages, it was continued. The decision was taken to collectivize farms. Now, at last, by the party, by the government, now decision was taken for what? To collectivize the farms, to collect farms. It was urged that it was said that by members that grain shortages were partly due to the small size of holdings. Now, it was said that why we are facing shortage of grain due to the small size of holdings, due to the small size of farms and fields. After 1917, land had been given over to peasants. Now, after 1917, what happened? Land had to be given over to the peasants. Land that was given to peasants after 1917. These small-sized peasants farms, means these small-sized peasant farms which was given to the peasants. So these small-sized peasant farms could not be modernized. So whatever the small-sized farms now could not be modernized, means it is said that if we have to modernize farms, so we have to develop, we have to improve, we have to make a large size of farms to develop modern farms for the development, for modernizing and run them along industrial lines, and to carry out, to develop the modern farms, means to modernize agriculture, as well as to run, means to adopt industrial, means whatever the new modern technology, etc., for carry out with machineries, to use of machineries. So it was necessary to eliminate means to remove. So what was necessary, what was important? To remove. To whom? Kulaks. Now those who were the prosperous and peasants, rich farmers, to remove them. Take away land from peasants. This is another measure. Now, the peasants, those who were, means land which was handed over to the peasants, now from them to take away land from peasants and establish state-controlled large farms. Now establishment, set up state control large farms, means it's called collectivization. Now started from the collectivization started. Now students, remaining paragraph will read in next clip.